But here's the term. I'll write it nice and big here. When we talk about some of these words having stories behind them and meanings, how they came about, here's a good one. Niwe'e is my namesake, the person who give you your Anishinaabe name. But it's also reciprocal, which means that that's also the term that he or she calls you. So we'e, niwe'e is reciprocal between you and me. In Minnesota or in other parts they call it niyawe'e, niyawe'e. So I was curious, how did we come up with the term we'e? So my mom, she's pretty knowledgeable about a lot of things, and I approached her, I offered tobacco, and I got a question of the linguistic variety. How come they call it we'e? Well, apparently, if a child cries a lot, they're crying because they don't have a name. And so, to acknowledge, to try to get the attention of the people there, they cry out and they sound we'e. That's how they sound when they're crying. I said, oh, how cute. The parents in my class will like this story, I told them. We'e, they're crying for their name. And so if they continue to cry, then they want a second name. And they say with names, the spirits in the spirit world do not recognize you until you're given your name. Your face is just blank. And so when you enter into the spirit world, our belief system is that we are all spiritual beings, eternal spiritual beings, and that we are just having a pause in that spiritual journey, and we're having a physical existence, which is a mere pause on that long spiritual journey. So they usually what it is the belief is that you pause within that spiritual experience so that you can learn more. You pull it on here because you need to learn to be more humble, you need to learn more customs, traditions, all these things. So if you take the attitude that you're here to learn, and then that you want to feed your spirit to increase your spirit, because the journey that we're on is returning back to our Creator, and we all will eventually get there. And so I've had people that give names that say, everybody has an Anishinaabe name, whether they know what it is or not. So today, in this day and age, when we have a lot of access to ceremonies are much more open now. In the olden days, prior to the Indian Religious Freedom Act, it was virtually illegal to practice Ojibwe culture openly. And for me to teach Ojibwe language, I'd be behind bars in jail if I did this prior to 1975. So things have changed, and I think for the better. We've improved all of those. So when you say Niwe'e, it's a term that my namesake calls me, and I call him Buju Niwe'e, Buju Niwe'e. Let's go back and forth. And that's not the only thing. Once you have that relationship with your namesake, it's a lifelong commitment. I remember the first time I heard somebody talking about giving a name, I was so inspired by that I asked them to give me a name. So I told my parents that, and they discouraged me because he was from another community, and they don't do it exactly the way we do it. So I said, okay. So the thing is, when you approach a person to give you your name, you're making a lifelong commitment to that person. In the olden days, it was your responsibility to make sure your we'e was comfortable. And in the olden days, that meant drop off a load of firewood, drop off a piece of venison, a hindquarter, so that they are comfortable. So I inform that to all my namesakes, and I tell them, your responsibility is that you got to make sure that I'm comfortable. Today, they literally take that, they call me on the phone, hey, can I take you out for supper? Steak supper. Yeah, that'd be comfortable. So that's how they do it. And I got people that continuously come and give me sage, they give me gifts, they give me items that they think I could use to make my life comfortable. So they're honoring that commitment. And so that's a lifelong commitment. procedure we always ask is that we encourage them to seek within their own family first. Maybe there's a person that gives names in your family. And you'd be surprised. A lot of people have said, you know what? I never knew Grandpa gave names. I went and approached him, and he was so happy I asked him that I was able to get a name. I didn't even know he spoke Ojibwe, is what a lot of people tell me. And so there's a lot of elders out there that are familiar with this knowledge, that know how to do it, but the protocol is that we can't go and preach. They have to come to us. So there's a lot of people sitting out there waiting to be addressed, waiting to be called. They come in and they want to be utilized.